Last week, I sat a few feet away as Barack Obama was sworn in as our new president. Our new president called us to action and service, and I know we all take that very seriously. But it's up to us to turn hope into action. This time can be different, so it's time to get real. Right now, our new leaders in Congress are debating an economic recovery plan that will invest in alternative and renewable energy, help end our addiction to foreign oil and dirty coal, and create millions of new jobs in the process. We have to act now. We have to act now. We have to act. We have to act. We have to act now. The next few weeks are critical. That's why in the days and weeks ahead, I'm going to be calling on you to take further action to help make our goal of 100% clean electricity within 10 years a reality, but one that is very much attainable. We can repower America.
Here is what's been happening year by year to the Columbia Glacier. It just retreats every single year. And it's a shame because these glaciers are so beautiful, but those who go up to see them, here's what they're seeing every day now.
The ice is gonna break!
Today's a happy day because we are closer now than ever before to finally passing comprehensive global warming and energy legislation that will make meaningful reductions in global warming pollution, spur investments in clean energy technology, And you have the crucial role to play in this fight. We cannot allow the special interests like the oil and coal industries to control the debate. We have to act now. Spur investments in clean energy technology. Although they have an agenda and reasons of their own to try to delay action, we have a strong ally, reality. This is Peru 15 years ago and the same glacier today. This is Argentina 20 years ago, same glacier today. 75 years ago in Patagonia on the tip of South America, this vast expanse of ice is now gone. There is a message in this. It is worldwide. And the ice has stories to tell us.
The ice is gonna break!
Why would people not be telling the truth? Is there malice involved, money involved, agenda involved?
The simple answer is money, power and glory. Let's take Al Gore. Al Gore was a failed presidential candidate. He'd not been a particularly distinguished vice president. He was hated by more or less everybody he came into contact with because he's an arrogant little so-and-so. He's not a nice man. He was really at the end of his career until he reinvented himself. And from being worth around $2 million when he came out of the Senate, he is now worth $200 million.
We have real opportunities right now that we may never have again.
He's set up a thing called Generation Investment Management. It's London-based. You couldn't do it in Canada. The rules wouldn't have allowed. He's just taken, for instance, the Church Commissioners of the Church of England for $200 million in so-called investment, in so-called green, so-called technologies. So he has a very, very large, very, very direct financial interest in making absolutely sure that everybody ends up believing this global warming scare. He is hoping then all of these people who have invented this scare will become prodigiously rich. So, of course, you can see very strong incentives, not only for the politicians, but also for the scientists who mingle with politicians, the politicized scientists, to go along with this. There's clear evidence and compelling evidence, which I give in my slideshows and presentations on this, of deliberate tampering with the data. So for all these dishonesties that are going on, there are people profiting by these dishonesties, and people who are now abjectly terrified because Professor Lindson's paper has come out. It confirms a string of results all the way from the oceans, which have failed to warm in the last 60 years, even though 80 or 90% of the warming caused by anthropogenic increases in greenhouse gas must end up in the oceans, and it's not happening. No. You've got to the clouds, which are, the more clouds you get, the more the sunlight gets reflected straight back into space. That causes a cooling, whereas the UN imagines it will cause warming. No. And in the tropical upper air, about 6 miles up, where the models are all told to expect that there will be warming at 3 times the surface rate, that isn't happening. They can save us from ourselves by savage increases in taxation, wholesale closing down of industries they disapprove of, and also, of course, mindless regulation of what kind of car you can drive, what kind of fuel you can use, how often you can turn your lights on, and even in the UK and Europe, ludicrously now, what kind of light bulbs you can have. It is a very important principle that on issues of public policy there should be free speech and open debate. Global warming is the least cost-effective use of taxpayers' money for any purpose that has ever been devised in the history of taxation, which is a long one. There is no basis for your government saying to you that coal trains are death trains, or that the coal industry deserves to be bankrupted, as President Obama said in an incautious moment when he hadn't realized the microphone was turned on during his election campaign. A little bit warmer weather would actually be good for the planet, good for the creatures that live on it. Perhaps 1% of the world's creatures live in the Arctic and the Antarctic, and perhaps 90% live in the tropics. Why? Because warmer is better for life than colder. Anyway, those who are trying to tell us that we need to do various things to mitigate or control or reduce our emissions of carbon dioxide have not given us the one piece of information, which is how many tons of CO2 must we forego in order to reduce temperature by 1 degree Celsius, let us say. The answer turns out to be 2 trillion tons. The US emits in total per year only 30 billion tons. That's 30,000 million, compared with the 2 million that we would need to forego just to reduce temperature by 1 Celsius degree. The world as a whole maybe emits 100,000 what are we saying, 100,000 million tons, yes, 100 billion tons a year. Let's suppose that we could do that without shutting down the rest of the economy. If you shut down the carbon-fueled economy, you have virtually no electricity.
Shut up!
You have no locomotive power.
Shut
Trains
up!
can't fly.
Shut up!
Cars can't run.
Shut up!
Trains can't run.
Shut up!
Everything shuts down, and you go back to the Stone Age. For how many years has the whole world got to go back to the Stone Age in order to prevent 1 degree of warming, even on the assumption that the UN's exaggerated figure for the effect of CO2 on warming is right? The answer turns out to be about 20 years.
Lord Christopher Monckton, former science advisor to Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, expert on this issue. They're frightened to take you on, generally. Al Gore, will he debate you?
He won't. We advertised right across America for months in all the major newspapers saying, come on, Al, baby, I'm waiting. And he would not even give us an answer. He was terrified. Of course, his speaker's contract specifies not only his usual $300,000 fee, $300,000. On top of that, he will not take any unscripted question. He will not be interviewed by anyone from the media unless his staff have cleared them first, and the only ones they clear are so dumb and sycophantic that they will only ask questions that he can answer, which isn't very many of them, like, what's your name? There's a very, very old philosophical principle at stake here, and that is that the truth is the truth is the truth, however many lies are told, however many people tell the lies, and however important the people who tell the lies conceive themselves to be.
So it's time to get real. We have to act now. We have real opportunities right now. It's a crucial down payment on our Repower America agenda. Thank you.